Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with the accurate bombing from high above the desert. We're now on to Russians on defensive near Kharkov, June 10th, 1942. New German attack in Russia. New German attacks in Russia. The fighting in Kharkov sector died down towards the end of May, and there was a period of comparative quiet which lasted until June 10th, when a fresh German attack was launched to recapture the strong points in their defense around Kharkov, taken by Marshal Timoshenko in his recent offensive. On the 25th, the Russians evacuated Kupiansk, an important rail junction 60 miles southeast of Kharkov, and on the following day, they had abandoned Izium on the Donets, the scene of the Great Tank Battle a month earlier. The pictures show above an German tank passing a burning church during their advance. And here we can see that German tank, obviously. There's the burning church, and they're passing after their attack, like it said. And then below, Soviet infantry riding into battle on their tanks during a counterattack. That's what the bars on the side of the tank were for, on the T-34. I don't recall if the KV-1 also had that, but I know the T-34 did, and yeah, they would ride on just because it was easier, got troops up faster. It's pretty smart, honestly. If you already got your tanks going up anyway, might as well have infantry catch a ride for most of the way up. Japanese land on the Aleutian Islands, June 13th to 21st, 1942. Japanese land at Kisanka. On June 13th, the U.S. Navy Department announced that the Japanese landings had taken place at Attu and Kiska in the Aleutian Islands, 1,300 miles from the Alaskan mainland, and only 600 miles from the new American naval base at Dutch Harbor. Bad weather prevented immediate action, but on the 15th, U.S. forces attacked the enemy and sank one of their cruisers, and severely damaged 3 other cruisers, an aircraft carrier, and a destroyer and a gunboat as well. Those were also damaged. A few days later, a number of transports were observed at anchor in Kisaka Harbor and were attacked by U.S. Army bombers, which succeeded in sinking one. The pictures show the ship ablaze. 2 other transports can be seen left and right. So this is the one transport, and that's the other one. Obviously, this is the one that they had shot. I mean, it's not obviously ideal that they only managed to get one, but at least they got one at all. Yeah, and this is something that we don't really talk about usually much in history class anymore. A lot of the times they won't even really mention the Japanese landing on the Aleutians, which technically they did land on American soil, so there was like a small invasion, but you know, it's one of those things of it didn't really do anything for the Japanese. I mean, well, yeah, they could claim, oh, we landed on American soil, but technically with the Philippines they landed on American soil, so that doesn't really count. And yes, obviously at this time, like I said, like it's said in previous videos, the Philippines is part of the United States, so technically it is American soil. It's just not one of the 50 states. But this is actually landing on one of the states. But it's one of the islands of that state, not even mainland Alaska, which they don't even land on. Germans capture Tobruk and Mersa Matar, June 18th to 29th, 1942. After the withdrawal of the British forces to the Egyptian frontier, mobile formations harassed enemy columns pushing eastward towards Bardia and turned them back about 25 miles from the town. On the 20th, however, Rommel's tank forces suddenly switched their attack towards Tobruk from the direction of El Adem and El Duda, and succeeded, with the help of massed dive bombing attacks, in forcing a gap on the narrow front in the southeast perimeter defense, through which tanks and infantry passed. On the 21st, after desperate fighting, the town and port were occupied, and the garrison of 25,000 was forced to surrender. On the same day, the enemy occupied Bardia. By the 25th, I believe that actually says the 26th. After capturing Capuzzo, Solum, Helfaya, and Sidi Barani, the enemy got within 15 miles of Mursa Matar. And on the next day, the battle was joined... And on the next day, the battle was joined with his main armored forces. As a result, Mursa Matar fell on the 29th, and the British and Imperial forces fell back in good order. The pictures show left Indian infantry... Italian infantry taking up positions prior to the Axis attack on Tobruk. And so we can see, yeah, the Italians were still obviously fighting here. They were doing the best they could, which they did do pretty all right. And then left below here, some of the British troops taken prisoner in Tobruk. And you can see all them right here. Those men are lucky, to be fair, to have been captured rather than just being killed outright. Yes, it's not ideal to have been captured, but it's better than being killed. And then on the right, British gunners in action before Mursa Matar. And yeah, obviously, as I've said in previous videos, this book is very biased, and obviously, like, when it says, oh, they fell back in good order, or things like that, it's obviously favoring the Allies having to fall back. Yes, obviously it's a retreat, they lost, but the book is trying to paint it as, oh, it was a good thing, which, not really. Yes, it's good that they fell back, but they were forced back, they didn't fall back of their own accord, necessarily. Black Sea Naval Base of Sevastopol falls to the Germans. July 3rd, 1942. The city in ruins. The fall of Sevastopol was a severe blow to the Russian cause. The great naval base home of the Black Sea Fleet was the utmost strategic importance to the enemy. For not only did it capture and remove the last remaining threat to the right flank, but it gave him a base from which he could, in the future, carry out landing operations south of the Caucasus Mountains. This would threaten the port of Batum and the vital oil center of Baku. In addition, its loss would seriously restrict the free movements of the Black Sea Fleet, which was now well within the range of enemy bombers. The defense of Sevastopol forms one of the most glorious episodes in the annals of military history, and the picture shows how the defenders heroically clung onto their positions until the whole town was reduced to a complete shambles. Those civilians who were not evacuated lived under unspeakable conditions, yet, together with the soldiers and the Marines of the Black Sea Fleet, they defied the might of the invading German army for many months. Yeah, you can see here. Look at Sevastopol. Look at all that's left. It's just completely obliterated. There's not even like a small bit of really defensible position left. This is the most defensible position we see in this picture. Maybe back here a little bit, but it's just almost nothing. So the fact that they held on to this for so long is a testament to their unwillingness to give up. That's for sure. Germans crossed the Don River and opened a new offensive. July 1st to 10th, 1942. Defense of Voronezh. On July 29th, on June 28th, the Germans began a new offensive in the Kursk sector, 120 miles north of Kharkov, the object of which was to capture the important railway junction of Voronezh, on the Moscow-Rostov Railway. 130 miles east of Kharkov. This would have given the Germans a strong defensive bastion on the flank of their attack further south. But early July fighting on a tremendous scale had also developed in the Bielgorodo and Volchansk areas between Kursk and Kharkov, with thousands of tanks, closely followed by infantry and supported by masses of dive bombers, battered the Soviet positions. In face of tremendous pressure, the Soviet armies slowly withdrew in good order, taking terrible toll on the enemy as they retreated. On July 7th, the Germans succeeded in establishing bridgeheads on the east bank of the Don opposite Vonozev, across which they managed to throw an infantry division and 100 tanks. The crossings, however, were under continual fire from Russian artillery and aerial bombardment by Stormovik bombers, and the Russians launched repeated counterattacks with strong forces. Oh boy, I just completely lost my spot. I am so sorry. Repeated counterattacks with strong forces of tanks and infantry. According to Soviet reports, the Don was flowing red with the blood of dead Germans. Meanwhile, further south, the enemy was pushing eastwards in an attempt to gain control in the middle reaches of the Don. On the 8th, the Russians evacuated Stary Oskol, and 2 days later, they abandoned Roshov after severe battles in which as many as 8,000 tanks were locked in combat on a front of 110 miles long. The pictures show the ruins of a bridge across the Don blown up by the Soviets in an attempt to slow down the smashing tactics of the well-armed and fast-moving German invaders. In this new drive for territory, German troops can be seen treading their way past smashed trucks and cars, which litter the ground for miles around. And we can look at it a little bit better. We can see a lot of the smoldering. Here's this destroyed bridge, and yeah, you can see it's in bad order here. It's very, very much destroyed. Soviets did a good job at making sure they slowed down the Germans, which is the best for them. That's what they needed to do. They needed to slow down the enemy as much as possible in hopes that he gives up, really. But that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Tell me what I can improve on. I always appreciate your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.